And so when we start to try to influence outcomes and we try to bring to the attention of the decision makers, and you can work me over pretty hard today, but believe me, I don't get to sit at the table that your councilman, John Moss, gets to. It's he and 10 of his peer groups that make that decision. And they're going to make that decision based on the financial and the return on investment aspects of anything that we do in this city. But these are some of the reasons why we're moving down that road and why the city manager focuses his staff to produce information so that the city council can evaluate and ultimately be asked to make a decision. And you're right, Mr. Greenman, it's all about the strategic growth areas and master plan. It's about whether or not we can remain competitive for private investment here in Virginia Beach. That we can leverage the light rail system that has been put in to Norfolk and try and connect the two town centers. And I'll discuss a little bit about what those alternatives are and what those options are, and some of the high-level discussions that have gone on that have got us to the position that we think we're at. The comprehensive planning goals that are currently underway, again, required by code to revamp our comprehensive master plan on a 5-year basis, will incorporate virtually everything that's here. And there are a series of issues that really focus on what we're doing with light rail and transit. And I think this caring for the next generation. I think that's a big play right now. And there's a huge transformation going on in cities today where young people are really attracted, young professionals are really attracted to being in that urbanized environment. And if they can't find it here, they're going to go somewhere else to find it. Because with that high-density urbanized living comes a multitude of professional jobs that they all aspire to be a part of. And if they can't find it here in Virginia Beach, they're going to leave. And private money is going to go where the workforce and the talent and the whole support system for being successful, for being profitable, for getting a return on their private investments has a higher rate of being successful. And you know where the FTAs are. I think you're very familiar with those, but I thought I'd give you a chart, and I do have 2 copies up here, hard copies, and I will post everything that I present today on the VB website, and I'll send you a link so that you can always reference these things and you can pull it down and grab it. And I think that you got to understand that decisions about whether or not Virginia Beach should transition to having a public transit system are being laid and have been being laid for about the last 6 to 8 years. Been really going on. It's an evolution of our competitive need to succeed in a world where only a handful of regions in the United States are really going to benefit from the investment, private investment, and growth, and that many MSAs are going to lag. And when they lag, they're going to shrink. And when they shrink, they're going to fall in disrepair because they're not going to have the tax base to support growth initiatives. And so you're asking whether it's the horse before the cart or the cart before the horse, chicken and egg. You can add all these analogies. Do you invest in something that attracts that, or do you wait until that investment comes and then you can put your transit in? And quite frankly, the competition for transit systems is pretty intense because most people will believe you as an infrastructure provider, a government, need to step up and provide that catalyst for the private investment to follow. Every one of those SGAs is different. And some people say they don't work, but let me give you an example right here in our backyard. What we did in Alaskan Gateway. This is what it was in 2009. This is what a plan, a concept was. How do you turn one of the oldest streets in the city of Virginia Beach, how do you turn that into a modern, urbanized place where young and professional people want to live and commute, walk via or ride a bike to the oceanfront workplaces. And so in 2013, this was what was built. And so you can see that it does happen. And it does potentially evolve and attract private money. So you take the SGA and you say, incumbent in all the SGAs, the 6 of 8 that run down that main east-west corridor, light rail, transit. I prefer to use transit, not light rail, because I'm not really a champion of the light rail system. I'm a champion of this magnetic levitation. I think it's a cheaper, better system. And we had to prove that it really works. And all these urban development, all this potential growth here in Virginia Beach is linked to whether or not that's there. So if you're going to go down that road, we ought to at least be looking at what's the better system if we're going to do that. And you can see that virtually if you go into every one of those documents that are approved by the City Council, transit-oriented development and transit systems are incorporated. And so what is the growth potential? Well, this analysis was done at a time early on in the environmental impact statement that's being conducted, the study is being conducted by HRT on the extension of light rail into Virginia Beach. And what is the full growth? What is the full build out of the 3 SGAs that were being contemplated? And how much growth, how many square feet of office and commercial and residential units and potential hotel rooms could potentially emerge from the strategic growth plans? And there's not a timeline on this. This could be 10 years, this could be 20 years, but that's the full potential. And there's a huge monetary impact to that number there, associated with people wanting to move to Virginia Beach and wanting to join companies that move to Virginia Beach and want to be a part of a really neat, growing community that has a lot of amenities beyond good jobs. One of the big issues that we've had in Virginia Beach is this myopic focus on a single rail line coming out of Norfolk. Just one light rail line. Well, without a system, it doesn't serve the number of workers that a transit system needs to serve. It doesn't connect us to our major work centers like Little Creek or Centera or the airport or Municipal Center or TCC. It doesn't run down lines that where our major retail areas like Alaskan have developed. And so the City of Virginia Beach staff created a system, the Southside Transit System. Created a blue line, which is the extension of the current light rail system, to what we believe is the Union Station of the Southside Transit System. It's not on Military Highway, it's not in Norfolk. It's in the town center of Virginia Beach. It's the shortest access to the airport. It's where investment will grow. That investment in Norfolk they're really not going to be the hub. The hub will be a town center. And you need to develop a system. What if I told you you could build all that light rail, all that transit, all these systems for the same cost that light rail costs you to go from Newtown to the ocean front. What if you could, maglev, because of its cost, what if you could build all that for the same cost that they're projecting, that just that one line from here, from Newtown to the ocean front, Pacific Avenue, past the convention center, we get it. Can you imagine what the National Transit Authority might do? Might look at and say, holy cow, why am I spending all these federal dollars to only build that much when I can build what? Over twice, maybe 3 times the amount of miles of transit nationally by changing my systems. And so if you believe, as we do, that the center of gravity for transit development in the South Side Municipal Statistic Area, the South Side region, is our town center, then you need to look at developing a Union Station concept that allows you to bring in the blue line, which is quite frankly light rail extended, and then convert your technology through this mixing bowl called Union Station, and then tie in the most important segments that provide you an opportunity to bring workforce to the employment centers. HRT was looking at 3 alignments. They were looking at 2 alignments to the ocean front and 1 to Rosemont. The staff saw that and said, who decided Rosemont? Where did Rosemont come from? Well, Rosemont was generated for a couple of reasons. And this is the world according to Hansen. So nobody, my belief is that it was the desire of Norfolk to ensure that they pushed deep enough into Virginia Beach to commit us to using that technology all the way to the beach. And that they knew that if they pulled up to town center, it would provide a logical break in transit systems to allow a Union Station to be created, thereby creating the center of mass for the whole South Side transit system, and allow us to look seriously at changing technology and saving tremendous amounts of cost. And so we put our foot down and said, the study is incomplete, and you need to go back, and you need to create a fourth section. And we started looking at the costs associated with what's called the MOS, the minimal operational segment. You can't go build $1 billion rail system. I mean, how are we going to pay for that? Even on the best day, the federal government will pay 50%. The state will pay 25%. And we'll pay 25% as a level. At $1.3 billion, that's over $350 million for us as a local. There's no way I can create a financial scheme that'll even get us to a conversation about how to finance $350 million in light rail. So that's completely out the window. So what are you smoking that would make you even go down that road to create that? So we quickly said, guys, you got to stop this insanity. We got to figure out a system that is affordable. And so these charts were created by the staff of Virginia Beach to say, look, you got to back off here. The reasonable minimum operational segment is to tie the town center of Norfolk to the town center of Virginia Beach. That's the minimum amount. Don't go any further than that, just build that piece. And so we started looking at it. Because it was $160 million less than just going to Rosemont. That's a tremendous savings. And as you all had in your discussions before, you know what the whole cost overrun nightmare was in Norfolk. The bait and switch, as you may call it. Hey, I'm going to sell to you low. When you get to the showroom floor, I'm going to try and put all that extra on you and try and get you to walk out with a 50% increase in your bill. Well, I think if you read all these reasons why we think coming to town center, creating a Union Station, creating this whole South Side system, I mean, we're not going to get any federal cost participation. It's not going to happen. There's like 60 other regions that have transit systems asking for money. All of them have ridership that far exceeds anything we'll ever put together. If we put even if we put every sailor, make them ride light rail just to get to the base, I couldn't get enough riders to compete against all the. So it isn't about ridership. I have been telling people a long time, it is not about ridership. It's not about pulling cars off the road. It's all about land development and transit-oriented development. That's the argument that you have to make. And I think you all know that, and that may be your argument. But that doesn't mean that it's, it's right either way. So I'm not going to argue that. My discussion with the city council is to say, look, this is what it's going to take if we do this, and this is how we do it, so that you understand what you're buying into. And so that study's underway. Neat pictures. Here's the timeline, so that you guys are walking away with, this is Hansen's accelerated timeline, and believe me, HRT hates it when I walk through their door because I'm just beating them really hard. But we are very aggressive. You need to know that your staff, the Virginia Beach staff, we work really hard, and we're held accountable by the city council. Your councilman alone holds us accountable. I mean, he gives us the luxury of saying, what are you going to do? And he writes down what we say we're going to do and the date we're going to do, and then he holds us accountable to do that. So therefore, if it's important to him, it's important to the city manager. If it's important to the city manager, it's really important to Hansen. And if it's important to Hansen, it better be important to everybody else out there wearing a jersey for Virginia Beach. So get it done. This is Hansen's accelerated. So I'm pushing HRT to do this. But in doing this, I'm pushing the city council to make some decisions. Why am I doing that? Because the monies that the state has is in competition. The monies that the state is willing to put on the table is up for grabs. But before I tell you about the cost sharing arrangement, let me tell you about the costs. These are the latest charts. They haven't changed much since the charts that were published in HRT's briefing. But look at those costs. Remember the 3 analysis, Rosemont and the 2 to the beach? Look at those costs. It's $1,130,000,000. Not counting the operating costs associated with that. I'm going to bring another chart up to that. So that's light rail. This is BRT, bus rapid transit. Our buses are more economical. Well, they're cheaper. Do they provide the same results? Well, that's what the environmental impact analysis is. That's a decision that the council has to make. Because the decision of what we do does not reside with the state, does not reside with the feds. It resides with our city council. And it is a big decision. It has to be. And these dollars are to react to the comments that you all have made, that we as a staff have made. These are huge numbers. But these are designed not to be shortchanging the costs associated with it. Do I think they come in cheaper? Well, I don't know. The competitive RFP process, I hope so. Are we going to build all this? Well, no. Because I can't figure out a financing plan in my wildest imagination on a Friday night how to create this. And if I can't figure it out, who else is going to figure it out? I'm charged to figure that out. And then, on top of the construction costs, what are your operating and maintenance costs every year? Well, those are budget items. That's like salaries. That's like asphalt for fixing potholes. So, it's added in there. And then that's the BRT estimated cost. And those have been posted. Only a handful of people have seen this chart. But this is a legitimate public document. This is the cost estimate that we did to create the cost associated with going to town center. And I'm providing this to you, and I'm putting it online, but it's already been published. It's just, you guys really haven't asked for it, so I thought I'd give it to you. This column right here, this is the column, and I know you can't read the eaches and everything, but this is the column that takes you to town center. This is the independent analysis we presented to HRT. Say, look, we ain't going to Rosemont. We're not going to the ocean. We agree that there is an economic There's an economic value for connecting the town center of Norfolk to the town center of Virginia